Hi, third graders. I'm here with our bedtime story for tonight. It's Monday, April 20th. I hope you got to get outside and enjoy some sunshine today. And our story is called The Great Kapok Tree. It's written by Lynn Sherry, and it's a tale about the Amazon rainforest. Starting with a beautiful world map showing where the rainforest is. The Great Kapok Tree. Two men walked into the rainforest. Moments before, the forest had been alive with the sounds of squawking birds and howling monkeys. Now all was quiet as the creatures watched the two men and wondered why they had come. The larger man stopped and pointed to a great kapok tree. Then he left. The smaller man took the axe he carried and struck the trunk of the tree. Whack! 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 The sounds of the blows rang through the forest. The wood of the tree was hard. Chop, 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 the man wiping the sweat that ran down his face and his neck. Whack, chop, whack, chop. Soon the man grew tired, and he sat down to rest at the foot of the great kapok tree. And before he knew it, the heat and the hum of the forest had lulled him to sleep. A boa constrictor lived in the kapok tree, and he slithered down to its trunk to where the man was sleeping. He looked at the gash the axe had made in the tree, and then the huge snake slid very close to the man and hissed in his ear, "Señor, this tree is a tree of miracles. It is my home where generations of my ancestors have lived. Do not chop it down." A bee buzzed in the sleeping man's ear. "Señor, my hive is in the kapok tree, and I fly from tree to tree and flower to flower collecting pollen. In this way I pollinate the trees and the flowers throughout the rainforest. You see, all living things, we depend on one another." A troop of monkeys scampered down from the canopy of the kapok tree. They chattered to the sleeping man. "Señor, we have seen the ways of man. You chop down one tree, they come back for another and another. The roots of these great trees will wither and die, and there will be nothing left to hold the earth in place. When the heavy rain comes, the soil will be washed away, and the forest will become a desert." A toucan, a macaw, and a cock of the rock flew down from the canopy. "Señor," squeaked the toucan, "you must not cut down this tree. We have flown over the rainforest and seen what happens once you begin to chop down trees. Many people settle on the land. They set fires to clear the underbrush, and soon the forest disappears. Where once there was life and beauty, only black and smoldering remains." A bright and small tree frog crawled along the edge of a leaf, and in a squeaky voice he piped in the man's ear, "Señor, a ruined rainforest means ruined lives, many ruined lives. You will leave many of us homeless if you chop down this great kapok tree." A jaguar had been sleeping along the branch in the middle of the tree. Because his spotted coat blended into the dappled light and the shadows of the understory, no one had even noticed him. Now he leapt down and padded silently over to the sleeping man. He growled in his ear, "Señor, the kapok tree is home to many birds and animals. If you cut it down, where will I find my dinner?" 4 tree porcupines swung down from the branch to the branch and whispered to the man, "Señor, humans need in order to live? Oxygen. And Señor, do you know what trees produce? Oxygen. If you cut down the forest, you'll destroy that which gives us all life." Several anteaters climbed down the kapok tree with their young clinging to their back. The unstriped anteater said to the sleeping man, "Señor, you are chopping down this tree with no thought for the future, and surely you know that what happens tomorrow depends on what you do today. The big man tells you to chop down a beautiful tree. He does not think of his own children who tomorrow must live in a world without trees." A 3-toed sloth had begun climbing down from the canopy when the men first appeared. Only now did she reach the ground. Plodding ever so slowly over to the sleeping man, she spoke in her deep, lazy voice. Senor, how much is beauty worth? Can you live without it if you destroy the beauty of the rainforest? On what would you feast your eyes? A child from the Yanamo tribe who lived in the rainforest knelt over the sleeping man. He murmured in his ears, Senor, when you awake, please look upon us all with new eyes. The man awoke with a start, and before him stood the rainforest child, and all around him staring were the creatures who depended upon the great kapok tree. What wondrous and rare animals they were. You'll notice how many of them there are for just one tree. The man looked about and saw the sun streaming through the canopy. Spots of bright light glowed like jewels amidst the dark green forest. Strange and beautiful plants seemed to dangle in the air, suspended from the great kapok tree. The man smelled the fragrant perfume of their flowers and felt the steamy mist rising from the forest floor. But he heard no sound, for the creatures were strangely silent. The man stood and picked up his axe. He swung back his arm as though to strike the tree, and suddenly he stopped. He turned and he looked around at the animals and at the child. He hesitated. Then he dropped the axe and walked out of the rainforest. I love the way that this story ends because it tells a story of the importance of the animals and the trees in the Amazon rainforest. And the author actually has a little note here. In the Amazon rainforest, it is always hot, and in that heat, everything grows and grows and grows. The tops of the trees in the rainforest are called the canopy. The canopy is a sunny place that touches the sky. The animals that live there like lots of light. Colorful parrots fly from tree to tree, monkeys leaping from branch to branch. The bottom of the rainforest is called the Understory, and the animals that live in the Understory like the darkness. There, silent snakes curl around hanging vines, graceful jaguars watch and wait, and in this steamy environment, the great kapok tree shoots up through the forest and emerges above the canopy. This was the story of a community of animals that live in one such tree in the rainforest. So it's important to think about how many trees there are. If one tree has that many animals, we have to keep our earth safe, right? And that includes the trees and the animals. This week is Earth Day on Wednesday, so I hope this was a good fit for our bedtime story tonight. Sleep tight, readers, and I will see you tomorrow.